from a galaxy far, far away.
And a bookshelf straight out of the 90s.
From Thrawn to Dantooine
And everything in between. This is Legends Look Back.
It was earlier in the day. In fact, possibly first thing in the morning. Might have even been the first thing that I saw today. I don't exactly know. We might need a time machine to solve it once and for all. That I saw a message from Rick, in which case he was saying, hey, did you realize that this is episode 66? You gonna let this slide without us doing something fun involving, the infamous Order 66 in Star Wars? And I was like, yeah, we've already got a show planned. We're not about to change it at this point. Which got me thinking, there are quite a few good stories involving or surrounding directly after, leading up to Order 66. And then I decided, we're not about to, get all into an episode on the Legends history of Order 66. We're not about to try to come up with a new Legends Look Back episode the day of the podcast. We've got a great show for you tonight. We've got a whole thing. However, I did give Rick this one little bit of leeway. I did grant him this wish. He had a bit. And so, Rick, here is your bit. Congratulations. You get to do the thing. Go for it, my friend.
Execute episode 66.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Legends Look Back, proudly part of the Utini Podcast Network. This is a Star Wars books for podcast for people who don't always have a blast, but when they do, they have a Baja Blast, where we celebrate our rich EU history, as well as diving into lesser-known Star Wars classics. I'm your host, Jared Mays. I'm joined tonight by Rick Grace. How are you, Rick?
Hey, man, I am doing pretty good.
Back from the dark side?
Yes, I'm briefly back from the dark side. So, man, as I said last week, I think week's always better when I get on the show, so I'm excited to be here.
It is a really fun way for us to connect and hang out. Glad to have our friends with us in the chat. Also glad to have joining us once again this week, Emily Daybeck.
Hey, how's it going, guys? We did trick-or-treating last night with my toddler, who is currently resisting going to bed. So I apologize if you hear some of that process, but it was really fun. Very excited to be back in Star Wars world.
I bought our trick-or-treating candy maybe late September. As soon as they had stocked it in the aisles
Same.
of our, local grocery store. But that was a huge mistake because, it's really easy to see it and just dip into it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I panic bought it because I always forget every year and then I end up buying it too late. And so it was late September and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get it. So I got home before I realized it wasn't even October yet. But then it's been really nice because every Halloween event that has happened since, we just take whatever candy my daughter gets and put it into that bag. So now it's just refilled itself half a dozen times.
You're using leftover candy from
for
a
sure.
year or two ago?
No, not a year or two ago. No, from if there's a trunk or treat, or if there's Fort Irwin does a really cool thing in the training area in one of in a little training village where they have a big Halloween event. So anything from those, we just put it back into our thing because she doesn't need to eat all that candy. We don't need to eat all that candy, but other kids might. So that's what we do.
We got the ring pops this year.
Ooh.
And I discovered after I lit my, because they love them and it's kind of classic nostalgia
Of
90s.
course.
And it plays into my whole vibe. It was a couple licks into our ring pop about a month ago. Our box of ring pops that I discovered. I accidentally bought the color changing, the tongue painting ring pop. And my kids were thrilled to have Thrawn tongues. Their tongues were just bright blue. Absolutely
I didn't know they made
fluorescent.
tongue painting ring pops. That's excellent.
Who wasn't so thrilled? My wife.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't like that either. That stuff gets everywhere because kids just lick everything.
It didn't turn their eyes red. Then we would have had, either a problem on our hands or a sci-fi novel on our hands. Either way.
What is that,
excited about the
Goosebumps?
trick-or-treating. It does sound like an episode of Goosebumps. Yeah, why are all the kids' tongues turning blue? We've got to figure out the mysterious force behind it. This is getting strange. Let us know in the chat. How do you like your ring pops? What color tongue would you like to have? No, please don't tell us anything about your tongue. We are, however, going to share. What's that, Rick?
It's getting weirder.
Well, Freddie's not here tonight. He was not assassinated by a battalion of clone troopers. Got a bit of work travel. Not able to join us. Sometimes, it's not the end of the world here at Legends Look Back without one of our hosts, but he is dearly missed. We do have, however, a very fun show planned for you this week while we continue to read Darth Bane, A Path of Destruction for our next roundtable coming up over the next couple of weeks. I got to admit, I've read a little bit now out of these big floppy new Essential Legends collections. These suckers are so friggin' readable. They're just nice to sit down with and prop them open and dive in. Also loving the audiobook by Jonathan Davis. Man, I don't know if there's anything I enjoy more in the entire world than listening to Jonathan Davis read a Star Wars book. How about you guys?
He's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I really can't. You can't go wrong with either Mark Thompson or Jonathan Davis.
Are you a Mark Thompson fan?
I don't know. I like the guy for sure. So I can't decide.
They're both great with the fans, so maybe one of these days we'll get him on the show.
Yeah.
I will say, I've got a sweet spot for Jonathan Davis. He does Kenobi and the Bane trilogy. I mean,
Yep.
Yep. Those are some classics.
That is true.
So excited to be diving into that more. But in the meantime, we do have some great stuff to discuss tonight. I had a little package that came in tonight as we kick off Thracken's Thrift Store. Rick, cue the graphic. Wait, we don't have a graphic?
Don't have a graphic.
All right, one of these days we'll have a graphic. It's going to be amazing. I can just picture it. What about you guys?
Sounds good
Just
to me.
Like a chubby, sleazy Han Solo, Thrackan Sal Solo. Doesn't he have like a cybernetic eye? If he doesn't, he does now. And I'm just picturing him with like a Santa sack slung over his shoulder, like of his finds, his thrifts. We'll see. We'll get there one of these days. We've got a few amazing graphic designers in house. We'll see if we can get them on it. But I do have something to show off this week. How about you guys? Here's what I've got as you gather your collectibles. Coming in the mail the other day, there was an attempted failed delivery, as if there was something of critical importance that had to arrive at my house that they needed my signature on. So the next day I made sure I was home because I knew who it was. Zalbar himself, the Wookiee from the Terrace Undercity, the best friends with a chatty little Twi'lek mission vow. We've got here Twi'lek, the Black Series gaming greats from Knights of the Old Republic. And tonight, as we are talking about some of the Star Wars movies that never had a movie to go with them, all the things but the movie, Knights of the Old Republic has, tragically little extra media surrounding it. Not enough action figures. I'm hoping one of these days he's going to be on his own shelf next to Mission herself. Got Revan, a Bastel. I've got a couple Funko Pops for them. Would love to have TK... What's the little one? The droid TK-30.
I don't remember.
7? 4?
I don't know. It's not coming to me.
I'm picturing him there, right there next to the other crew members. Canderous. It's gonna be awesome. We'll see. So everybody, go out and buy your Zalbar action figures so that I can have all the other ones. Please, please spend your money so I can spend more of mine a few years from now.
Yes.
Emily, you said you had something. What you got for us?
Well, I don't have anything Star Wars related, but I was asked about this shirt today. It's the new Braunfels unicorns. So Mike's aunt and uncle, they live in New Braunfels, Texas, and the mascot for their high school is the unicorns. Have you really?
Yeah, there's a water park.
Yeah. What is it? Schlitterbahn, I think.
The Schlitterbahn.
Yeah. It's got a lot of German culture. But their mascot in high school was the unicorns, and they thought it was so funny. Neither of their children are in high school anymore, but they decided to get my husband and I some unicorn swag. So I figured since I was asked about it earlier today, I might as well give you guys the story too. Drop your high school mascot in the chat, and we'll see if it can compare to the unicorns.
Oh, man. Yeah, that is a great mascot. What's another,
very on trend lately, I think.
Mythical beast that doesn't have nearly enough mascots in the U.S. Are there any ligers?
No.
That'd be a good one.
That would be a good one.
Like the Oklahoma City ligers? It's not a thing. Will be another good one.
Oh,
it could be
another mythical.
Pegasus? That's kind of along the same.
How do you plural Pegasus?
That's a good question.
Ooh. Pegasi.
That's probably why.
Yeah.
That's why it's not popular.
Pegasaurus rexes.
Pegasaurus.
There it is. Nailed it. How about, I was listening to a podcast not too long ago about how there's only like 2 or 3 schools in the entire U.S. whose mascot are the flamingos. It was all about like just how awesome flamingos are. All right, we're going to really get off the deep end here if we're not careful. Basically, they can drink boiling water. They're one of the most hardcore animals in the entire world.
What?
Super resilient to
Flamingos.
different climate forces. And yeah, they're awesome.
You know,
And,
every week I learn something new. I did not expect that this week it would be about flamingos, but there you go. Legends look back for you.
You'll learn something every week.
I'm like classically that guy who's like, hey, you know what I heard on this random podcast this week? You don't know the history of popcorn? That's me.
Nice.
I'm the guy who can tell you all about the history of popcorn. You know who else is a guy who's got plenty of random dad trivia? Rick. Rick, what you got for us this week on Thraken's Thrift Store?
Yeah, so a little bit outside of my thing. I'm not that big into toys because, like, I got stuff from my childhood, and if I see something on sale, that's when I'm like, do I need this? It's a good deal. I might need this.
Oh, yeah, I saw your haul the other day.
Yeah, and so, you know, Black Series figures, I got a couple of them, maybe. Like, I know I have Thrawn and maybe another random one. Yeah, I have a Jar Jar Binks, and I think maybe a couple more. Anyway, but if you haven't heard of Ollies, anybody heard of Ollies? Y'all too?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'd never heard of them until they were here. They live in the husk of Toys R Us, and that makes me sad every time. But yeah, they had a bunch of different figures on sale, and particularly they had the Hyper Real series.
Okay.
So I don't know if you've seen these.
Oh, no, I'm picturing, like, Buff Jackson now.
Yeah, right. But they come with, like, all kinds of accessories, like alternative hands and faces that you can put on, and they're like an 8-inch figure. Yeah. And
alternative faces?
That's like equivalent to all the limbs lost in Star Wars right there.
Wow,
right?
sure enough.
And so this one was on sale, and it's like the box is beat up, so there's some damage. But actually, it was advertised for a Darth Vader. I saw Luke, and I was like, well, that's pretty cool. I'll take Luke. But then the bug was in my head, and I had to get Darth Vader.
That's how it gets you.
So I got Darth Vader on eBay and paid too much for him. But he has a nice
Started
box.
as a good deal.
I've never heard of these, Rick.
But he's also missing some limbs and alternative
What a
pieces and
strange
stuff.
thing. Is that the only kind of toy that comes with alternative limbs?
I'm not sure.
Is this normal?
I'm not sure.
I've never
Is that
never
a question
seen this
you
before.
thought you would ask tonight?
This is-
No,
This is
there's
not-
a lot that I learn every single week.
Yeah, it's not really my wheelhouse, but I'm having fun with it. I'm totally gonna open them up and play with them and get them set up in a thing. But they're Star Wars: The Black Series, but they're called Hyper Real, and they can be expensive. So yeah, I can tell you more if you want. Come find me in Discord.
Wow, that's awesome.
So
you got enough hands there for like Thrawn to create his like an entire clone army of Lukes and Vaders.
that would be epic.
Somebody around the Discord or the Utini team in the last couple of days was talking about how they got like a throne room action figure of Palpatine, but then they were thinking about getting the like Luke Skywalker from Heir to the Empire and putting him in there with the blue lightsaber and like recreating a scene from the Thrawn trilogy.
Yeah.
Were they pitching this, or did my mind go there and like I created it after they showed me the figure?
Who's to
Because
say?
then you'd need a Sabaoth. I might do it. I might just make a shrine that is the entire like climactic scene of the Thrawn trilogy. Stay tuned. We'll see. You know how sometimes you like get an idea in your head and you're like, that's gonna have to happen. I'm gonna actually have to create that, and nothing is gonna stop me.
Like the graphic for Thraken's Thrift Store?
Yeah, except for that hasn't come to fruition yet.
It's not quite good enough of an idea.
I'm
I
talking.
see.
I'm talking easy. It's this idea is like still half baked. You're gonna like
I'm just teasing you.
stilt its growth prematurely here. Like my bookshelves over here. Like there was a day where I was like, I need some better bookshelves. It was back 2 years ago. We were looking at turning Legends Look Back into a live show. My like cheap Walmart shelves were sagging in the middle just enough. And
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna have to do something better. And so I did, and it took like a month.
I can
few
see
$100.
why. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
They look great.
In fact, oh, thank you. I'm gonna have to leave them behind. We are officially moving to Arkansas. The move is initiated. I have officially packed my first boxes of my Star Wars collection. Believe it or not, like some of the items in the Star Wars collection were deemed somehow as non-essentials.
What?
Things that like we don't need to have out at the moment in order to survive over the next month.
By whom?
So packaged up. Let's take a guess. This isn't in the show notes here, but we got some time without Freddie. We got like a whole extra person's dialogue to fill. How about y'all take a guess? How many Funko Pops do you think I boxed up on Tuesday night? Boxed up all of my Star Wars Funkos. My room is tragically bare. How many was it?
I don't know how many you have. I want to see you.
That's the question.
Less than 100, but I would say like 35.
I said 50.
Dang, Rick.
Is it 35?
35 Funkos.
For real?
Yeah.
Rick!
I'm gonna go get a lottery ticket, dude.
Oh my goodness.
crazy.
This is like that one week you one-upped him too. Man, you're on fire tonight.
I'm humiliated just thinking about it.
Oh, hey, remind me, I need to talk to you about, I think I found a Dark Empire hardcover I'm going to buy, but it's expensive, so I want to talk about price.
They are expensive.
Okay.
They're worth a lot of money, and I'm really wishing I had not loaned mine out to like 20 different people over the last 10 years. It's quite worn.
Ah, gotcha.
And now it's quite valuable, and I'm like, if only I'd have known.
Right.
But worth it.
Yes.
Worth it for every single person I shared it with. They loved it. So
Good stuff.
I love sharing the fandom with people. Love it. Yeah. Not regretting it at all. But I do have one more thing to show off here for Thrack and Surf Store. Did you guys both go? Did you take your turns?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, here it is. I had my birthday last week. My wife bought me a record player. We had a new record store. Our town's been investing in small businesses, and some new businesses have been opening up and revitalizing our downtown. One of them is a record store. I wanted to share the joy of this record store opening up its doors, and downtown. We're very invested in our community, and so my wife got me a record player. I was very excited. So I've been starting to collect some like key albums I've been wanting on vinyl. Went to Barnes & Noble the other day. Knew they had to have some new ones. Wanted to get some Taylor Swift. Was looking for maybe some like folksy stuff that I like. And you know what else I found?
What?
Here it is, a Star Wars album.
Nice.
It is. It's The Last Jedi. So like on our Legends show, I'm only going to leave this on frame for like 5 seconds here and then never speak of it again. But there's not a whole lot, not very many things that are more fun than like dropping that record needle just right, getting it just on the edge, and then hearing and then you start the Star Wars fanfare. Woo. It's quite the experience.
Goosebumps.
Highly recommend. 10 out of 10. You can go over to Uchini.com, click any random Amazon affiliate link, and then type in Star Wars vinyl. You can buy yourself one and give us 4% to help keep the lights on, because it does work that way, even though we don't have any actual affiliate links. Shadows of the Empire. Great comment here from Jacob Bosch. Shadows of the Empire vinyl on Amazon. There we go.
Nice.
There's some Legends records. I might actually have to do that. Thank you for that tip, Jacob. Let's move on into Legends Lookout. We've got a little bit of news this week. Rick, why don't you take the first one?
Yep. Give me just a second.
We had a big announcement that came... Well, it came through a Barnes & Noble listing, and then Star Wars Books on Twitter. I love the people over there that run that Twitter handle. They shared the news.
Yes.
About this is not just a rumor. They posted some speculation, but we're not going to get into their speculation. We are going to get into the actual news of it.
Okay.
All right, so there is something that's been listed. Tell us what it is.
Yeah, so over at Barnes & Noble, they're doing two leather-bound Star Wars Legends collectible editions coming in September of next year, so like 11 months. The first one coming out is Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi by John Jackson Miller and Alan Dean Foster. That's going to be good. Are there images out for this?
Not that I know of. This is still obviously early in the development for them.
Right.
However, just hearing you say it, like seeing it on the internet was one thing.
Yeah.
And then me typing it in the show notes was another, but hearing you say it as a definitive fact,
yes, it is happening.
Made me literally salivate.
I am so excited.
Wow.
It's a great book.
Do you chew on leather-bound books, or
No, just like I'm excited. These are some of the Emily. These are some of the most collectible. As somebody who doesn't own, doesn't do a lot of the collecting of the physical editions. Look at these things.
They're beautiful. They are absolutely gorgeous.
Wars.
I actually might have to pick those up.
I've got the for those of you who are listening on audio, I'm holding up these. No, it doesn't retain much of its smell. I've had this one for quite a while. The leather-bound Star Wars trilogy, original trilogy novelizations. It's got gold foil leaf pages.
Yeah.
It's got Darth Vader on the cover. It looks like a Bible, doesn't it?
Right. I mean, a very fancy, glowy Bible.
Yeah, I mean, like you can have a Bible on your phone. Sure, absolutely. Right. It does have even like the Bible bookmark.
That is
like
true.
That,
ribbon.
The tassel.
Yeah, tassel ribbon,
The
something
phylactery.
like that. Ooh, man.
What's
Going
that
Old
Anchorman quote about, like, back at my apartment, there are many books and they are leather bound? Like, that's what I've got going through my head on repeat.
I've never seen it. I've never
It's a
seen
good
it.
reference,
really?
though.
Yeah, somehow.
Oh,
Oh
goodness.
man, yeah. I've got two of these. There are more. I have the Han Solo trilogy.
Yep, I got that one too.
From A.C. Crispin.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's got my favorite part about it is Jabba's smoking a hookah on the back, just lounging. You got one too, Rick?
Yeah.
Yeah, these are great. I'm very excited for this. Now, what's amazing is these do collect multiple stories. So, as I said, both of these contain a trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
The first announced book is called Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, the book by John Jackson Miller is called
okay.
it's called
Kenobi, right.
So the question then is, what will it collect?
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is news or speculation, so we want to be careful with it.
Right.
What will they put with Kenobi? That's the real question.
And
So they're
Alan
going to be
Dean
sort of like
Foster's
anthologies
name's
or
on
like
there, right?
combinations?
Yeah. And I don't know what I would put with Kenobi. I think the word on the street is there's going to be The Approaching Storm by Alan Dean Foster, his Episode 2 prequel.
Oh. Huh.
But I don't remember it necessarily being an especially memorable Legends book. I've got it right here. I remember nothing about it. Absolutely nothing.
Well, what was it? It's the one about Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. Not The Apprentice. What's it called again? It's canon, unfortunately, but that would make
Master and
sense for them.
Apprentice, yeah.
That's it, Master and Apprentice.
No, I want it to be a Legends book.
I know, but you have to include canon sometimes, man.
Maybe.
That's what the
Outbound
kids are
Flight could
buying
work.
these days.
It could
You could
be.
do Outbound Flight. That'd be a good one.
Yeah.
What you got, Rick?
I was just thinking some of the early readers, middle level readers, I can't think of her name.
That would be wild.
Oh yeah,
like the
Jude Watson,
Jedi
yeah.
Apprentice books.
Yeah, yeah.
That would be
cool.
That would be amazing. But there's 20 Jedi Apprentice books. 20. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
They're short and they're young readers. So like maybe you could do it. I don't know. Now I'm gonna have to to do a word count of how many words are in all 20 of those books and how many words are in these hardcover leather bounds. Now it's gonna take up my whole Saturday. All right, Rick, tell us about the second one.
It would
that was
work.
announced.
The second one is going to be Star Wars: The Mandalorian. Featuring.
Saw that one coming a mile away.
Right. K.W. Jeter, and the author listing suggests that this is going to be the Bounty Hunter Wars trilogy, which is the Mandalorian Army, Slave Ship, and Hard Merchandise.
Mandalorian
Ooh.
Armor. Mandalorian Army sounds awesome, though.
That would be
Yeah.
a good book.
This would work. These are actually quite good. They're a little wordy. I would have liked to have seen, I think in hindsight, the 3 condensed into one book. But you just put them within the same leather-bound, collected edition. I guess technically then it's one book, right?
I guess. Well, that's how that works.
This one makes more sense to me that you would put the entire Bounty Hunter Wars trilogy into one volume. If they do, hey, I can guarantee you this. We will, without a doubt, cover it about a month to 3 months after release right here on this show. Let's Look Back. Utini, what do we call this? YouTube.com/Utini. This is where you can find us 9:30 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays a year from now. Check back. Are we going to read the Bounty Hunter War trilogy? We'll see if this actually comes to fruition because, with the publishing delays, it's hard to believe that any of this is actually going to happen, but I have faith.
Yep.
Especially when it involves Legends books. What's one, let me pitch it to you guys. What's one Legends trilogy you would like to see receive this leather-bound Barnes & Noble hardcover treatment?
Ooh, the Thrawn trilogy, right? Is that already one of them?
No.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a
why
no-brainer.
isn't that one
Yeah,
of
yeah.
them? That should have already been there. Guys, come
They
on.
could just put Sabayat's abs. That's the whole
Yes.
cover. Just shirtless Sabayat.
That should be the back, like a special treat. You flip to the back
awesome.
and
Or
it's
just
that.
this beard. Just like the beard. Oh, man. Whew. That would be amazing. All right. What's your pick, Rick?
Oh man. So of course we're reading Bane right now, so can't go wrong with those. But those are pretty common. Okay, I'll go with the Revenge of the Sith trilogy, the unofficial trilogy, the Revenge of the Sith novelization, and then the two that before and after.
Yeah.
Let's see, Labyrinth of Evil. What's the other one? Rise of Darth Vader. Yeah. So those three I think are a good story. So.
Yeah, these will be Barnes & Noble exclusives, as has been asked in the chat. We will keep you posted as we have more information right here on the show. Love both of your ideas. And now I'm going to have to find out if they have a prequel leather-bound hardcover trilogy. I don't know. I know they have 2 different sets of covers for the original trilogy, maybe even 3. Man.
Wow.
So, no, I know that Books A Million has one. I'm not sure it's leather-bound. Hey, if you want some more Legends deep dives, this is the show for you. We'll do it on another show. Emily, tell us what else is up in Legends Lookout.
Certainly. So there is a new Marvel Epic collection announced. It is going to be releasing tentatively March 16th, and it's going to be Legacy Volume 4 containing Legacy Volume 2 featuring Anya Solo? Anya?
I say it like a Russian name. Anya.
Anya.
Anya Solo.
Anya Solo.
Right.
So not...
Could be Anya.
Or
Who is that?
Nia.
Pronunciation there.
I know Jaina. Who's this Anya person?
Right. That's a great question.
Do you
so
know?
This is set like 100 years after the original trilogy. Maybe more.
Interesting.
So it's set. It is Legacy Volume 2, as you pointed out, but the Epic Collection is called Legacy Volume 4. I love Legends for this kind of stuff. Anya Solo would be Jaina's great granddaughter. Yeah,
if it's 100 years, that's like 2 generations, right?
Well, 100 years after the original trilogy.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
I'm
just
not as great
granddaughter.
at the math
I don't
with
know.
the timelines as like Trevor. Trevor's your guy for this kind of thing.
Jacob is
Jacob-
confirming, 135-ish after the Battle of Yavin, so it's out there.
So it is way out there. It's a descendant of Jaina Solo. So you are on the right track, Emily. And you can kind of see how Anya is like an anagram-ish for Jaina. You just take off the J, mix the letters up a little bit. You got Anya. This is the Legacy Volume 2 series was cut off prematurely. It only has a fraction of the issues that Legacy Volume 1 had. However, is amazing. Absolutely one of my favorite Legend stories. I know I say that about a lot of things. I happen to love this stuff. That's why I have a podcast about it. But it's got like an IG-88, kind of bounty hunter-ish droid who many people... The fan theory is, this is one of mine and Freddie's favorite in-jokes, if he's still with us in the chat, or we'll know, because he's going to say something about how much he loves this. The IG, I forget the name of the IG unit, it's been like 10 years since I read this. There's an IG, hunter droid, who many people believe is actually C-3PO programmed into it. So, if you read it from that viewpoint, it's hilarious. Anyway, pay attention to the moniker here because it is the Legends Epic Collection Legacy Volume 4, but it is going to start a new story of Legacy Volume 2. Now, the first 3 editions of Legacy Volume 1 are nearly impossible to find on the aftermarket. So, this is definitely one worth getting, don't you think?
Yep. Get it while you can. And this is exactly why Utini exists, is to help navigate Volume 4, Volume 2.
Yeah.
That's right.
Every time there are, it just makes my mind boggle. Like, what do you mean? How many volumes are there?
What was especially fun, Emily, was listening to you read that and try to make sense of it.
I know. I feel like every time, yeah. So anyway, long story short, if you're new to Legends, you're not the only one. I'll ask the dumb questions, and you just glean all the knowledge. You're welcome.
And I would
you're
say
always
with
welcome
Legacy
here.
with Legacy Volume 2 in particular, you don't have to have read Legacy Volume 1 in order
that's
to
good,
enjoy
because
it.
apparently it's impossible to get. So
it's not as big. It's not as big of an investment. You can probably read the whole thing in a weekend.
Okay.
As opposed to Legacy Volume 1, which will take you a couple weeks. Or at least, how long it took me, respectively. And you don't have to have a ton of knowledge of what has happened up to that point in Legends, in the books or in the comics. It's just a self-contained story that you can enjoy for what it is. And it's a solo descendant, like, on the run, kind of a fugitive little ragtag band of misfits. Excellent. Absolutely worth your time. I don't think we've ever really discussed it in much detail on the show. You know what else is confusing, though? This next little piece of news on Legends Lookout, there is a new, just a nugget of a short story released on the website for the Old Republic, a SWOTOR short story. They've continued to crank these out periodically, even since Legends became Legends, since it was relegated to an alternate universe back in 2014, the fateful D-Day of Legends. They have still continued to crank these out. On October 1st, there was a new little short story released called Mission Abstract, Investigate Link Between Darth Malgus and the Planet Elam. I looked at it. There's not a ton there, but there is some, it is fiction written in the Legends universe. I'm currently really deep into playing this game. I might finish it tonight. Could be tomorrow. I don't know. But, there's a lot of Sith coming at me. They're, ambushing me like ninjas from the ceiling at this point in the game. And that feels like at the end of the game kind of scenario, right? Mm-hmm. I've reached level 51. That sounds high. Anyway, so very fun that there is new content coming out with this. Rick, tell us a little bit about what's happening in the Legends community over at Utini.
Yeah, so exciting things coming up. In the Discord book club, we're going to be starting the reading of the AC Crispin Han Solo trilogy. Paradise Snare's coming up. I cracked it open today and just barely got into it. So if you're interested in joining us as we read this, we're going to read it slowly. I think about a month per book is the pace. But you can find us on Discord. And again, that's, of course, Utini Discord, and specifically in the channel for Legends books. Also, something to add there, Jared?
No.
Okay.
It's 10 pages a day, I think is how it shakes out.
Okay, that's doable.
I was just stroking my mustache. I've started my fall beard, so don't mistake that as me raising my hand, Mr. Grace.
Thank you.
Is that what the kids call you on the school bus?
That weirds me out. So I have a sign that says, no joke, I have a sign that says, "Hello, my name is Rick Grace. Call me Mr. Rick or Mr. Grace." And I prefer Mr. Rick because my mom is a teacher, so she's Miss Grace. And my wife's a teacher, and she's also Miss Grace. So I can't be Mr. Grace. It's too many of that's going on. So
well, as long as you're not a disgrace, I think it's okay.
Oh, there it is.
I love it. That's great. Good job,
Emily.
Thanks.
Emily, we've got one more little piece of community news. While you're on a roll, why don't you hit it for us?
The Star Wars Archives.
Yeah.
Awesome. So if you follow our entire network of Utini shows, Star Wars Archives is a really great show to catch. It has Trevor, who knows more about Star Wars than anyone else on our team. They had Corey on for a Legacy of the Force spotlight. So he guest starred on Star Wars Archives. So make sure to check that out wherever you get your podcasts. I think it's Trevor and Jose host that podcast.
I don't know, and for those of you who are not getting these, they do release them on a 3-month delay to the public, so you can get a taste of what's going on there. I don't know if there is any podcast ever in the 10-ish years I've been listening to podcasts that I've enjoyed more than listening to Trevor and Corey argue about Legacy in the Force. Because, spoiler alert, Trevor hates it. And Corey loves it.
Ooh, and they're very strong personalities, so that's got to be just sparks flying.
I was grinning ear to ear the whole time. Also screaming. I was screaming.
What?
I was trying to fix some siding on the side of my house that I accidentally melted when I was trying to convert my gas grill into a smoker so I could make brisket. It's a whole thing. Everything's fine. My house didn't burn down, but I do have a mess to clean up. And I was listening to this podcast while I did so. And when they got a couple details wrong, and it was recorded and released, there was nothing I could do to fix it. I'm just sitting there in my driveway screaming at the top of my lungs, like, how could you get this wrong? And I look over, my neighbor's just looking at me like, you know that meme of that kid that's like, I don't want anything to do with this.
Yeah.
That's what was happening. So let me know, guys, if you listen to that, if you have an experience that is somewhat similar to mine. It's absolutely worth the listen. And they're not way too spoilery. A little bit here and there, but not terribly so for the series if you want to check that out. Now, before we cut to break, we want to remind you to remember to like this video, or, hey, you will be haunted by the ghost of Exar Kun for the rest of your days, or at least until you can send a couple of Force-sensitive children to deter him. And also Corin Horn, he helps. Here's the thing. Hey, or if you're watching this live on YouTube, go ahead and just hit that like. Hit that like. It's like this. You just take your finger and like it, and there it is, and it helps us out. Also, there's all kinds of different ways you can help us out on the show. You can subscribe. There's probably other things. Leaving reviews helps. But hey, for the time being, let's go to break. And as you do, just click that like. All right. Go ahead, Rick. Tonight's episode is inspired by the big summer crossover event we had at Utini, or at least I think it was in the summer, because time feels relative these days. That's for sure. We did this big event cross with the Cosmic Force and Utini Game Nights, where we talked all about the big 1996 publishing initiative that was Shadows of the Empire. And in my defense, I had never read it before. I didn't know just how problematic it would be. But one thing fun that came from it was this, to see just how much merchandise, how much fanfare was made around this one particular story. And I was interested from the Legends standpoint, what other big publishing tentpole initiatives were on a similar level, or at least in competition with Shadows of the Empire, for the most hullabaloo made out of a particular story ever in the Legends universe. We talked about one last week, being Rogue Squadron. Rogue Squadron, do you guys remember from last week? If you're here with us in the chat, I'm going to quiz Emily and Rick right here on the spot. Remember what other pieces of media and merchandise were created surrounding Rogue Squadron? What else came out surrounding this amazing book that we talked about last week?
Emily, you want to go or you want me to go?
No, you can go. You got it, man.
Yeah.
So good at these questions.
And Rick, we've got a graphic for this one, right?
Yes, we do. So there was a video game. I know that much. And I think there's a comic series that was either before or after. I think it was before, but I could be wrong. So it's 50-50.
Chronologically, right, it is
that's
prequel,
what it was.
but it was written while the books were being put out.
That's why I thought both then. I'm going to go with that one.
Right. Yeah, so there's a video game.
Yep.
Actually, multiple video
Right,
games. There's
right.
There's a sequel on the GameCube that I've never played. That'll be fun when I finally get to it. Got the comics. That's right. Now, were there actual action figures published that went alongside it? I don't know. I didn't have time for all that research this week, but it would have been a good week to do some research. That's for sure. So Rogue Squadron did at least get the video game treatment. Doesn't tie into the book especially much, except for the very first level. Is the first chapter of the book is an adaptation of the first level of the video game. So there's that. But then in the book there's the twist, right? That it was just a simulator mission. But you don't learn that in the video game.
Right.
So there's a little bit there, but not a ton of connective tissue. Is there anything else in the Legends universe that does have some more connective tissue? Of course, right now in canon, we've got some big tentpole events happening right now. Can you guys think of what they are? Two massive, major events happening in canon modern-day Star Wars storytelling that are not so dissimilar to what we're talking about here tonight in the Star Wars movies that never had a movie.
Yeah. Emily, you got this one, right?
Rogue Squadron's coming out with a movie. There's also, and then Boba Fett series.
Yeah, neither of those are what I was thinking of, but those are perfectly
your
valid
mind
answers.
is just a beautiful place, Jared. Why don't you just tell us? Tell us all about it.
We've got High Republic, right? The High Republic.
For sure.
We don't have action figures yet, and in fact, Eric is running a Twitter account all about, do we have High Republic Funkos yet? And so far, I think every day he's just tweeting, no.
No, we don't.
One of these days, though, we do have comics. We've got the books, even an audio drama. 2 audio dramas? Just one.
One audio
dramas are coming in. They're a lot more now than I think there used to be.
But there is a lot behind this initiative. There's T-shirts. There's concept art that's wallpaper that's being released.
Oh yeah, special editions in the books, and everything, comic books. Yeah, it's been good. I really like the High Republic. It's been good stuff, but we won't talk about that too much.
Absolutely not. No. Not another word. Rick, if you say another word, we'll have to find another producer. Actually, please, Rick, stay. We need you.
Please don't go. Please don't go.
But this did, however, as the Legends fan in me has seen all the fanfare surrounding the High Republic and War of the Bounty Hunters, the big summer crossover comics event.
Yeah.
It's had me as a Legends fan just itching to say, we did it first. And there's so much more that you can dive into if you're wanting something that is crossing the streams with the mediums. In particular, we've got Rogue Squadron from 1996, also in 96. Big year for crossover events, apparently. We had Shadows of the Empire. What else, however, would qualify as something that would incorporate some kind of merchandise to qualify as a Star Wars movie without a movie? This, of course, famously is the line that was applied to Shadows of the Empire, the Star Wars movie without a movie. The legend has it was a way for George to test all the different streams of marketing. Could he crank out a soundtrack, as we talked about earlier in the episode? There's even a vinyl. We've got action figures. I, in fact, just packed away my Dash Rendar and my Shizor in bubble wrap this week. And I was like, maybe the bubble wrap will keep Shizor's pheromones in the box. But, alas, it's packed away. Who knows where it is? So here's the question, and that is, what else qualifies as Legends Star Wars movies that never received a movie? Rick, why don't you lead us off?
Yep. So the first one, I'm pretty sure has already been mentioned in the chat, but Dark Empire. Back in 91, we've talked about how good of a year that was for many of us, the year we were born. But yeah, that was an era where a lot of things were being put out. Like you mentioned, testing the water, see what would sell. So we had action figures, we had comics and audio dramas. A lot of exciting things happening with Dark Empire.
Yeah, we actually have a really great pick here in the chat, another one that didn't make our list. So, hey, thank you, chat, for helping us out. And we're going to fan create. We're going to, what's the way we should refer to this tonight? Like brainstorm, crowdsource. There's the word. We're going to crowdsource this particular list. And that is Dark Forces, another good pick there from OK Endar, which is that Dark Forces did receive like the video game. In fact, multiple video games, if you count the Jedi Academy games that followed. I got into the first level of the first one of those on my Switch.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure out how to get across the river.
Really?
in the very first level.
Nice.
So
I have gotten further than that. Ha! But I'm stuck at like the second level, so
Okay. But I do love the audio dramas that adapted those three particular stories, and then Rick does love the fact that he got those hardcovers of his Dark Forces trilogy. Wow. Some of the holy grails of Legends collecting. So didn't have Dark Forces on our list, following what we refer to as the Legends Kyle Katarn. No, what do we call him? The Chuck Norris of Legends.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Kyle Katarn, that's right. Dark Empire, though, as you've mentioned, Rick, we've got the comic. There is no book adaptation. I was asked recently, is there like a prose adaptation? Not that I know of. There is, however, kind of flying under the radar, hard to get your hands on these days, audio drama adaptations of Dark Empire 1 and 2, but not of Empire's End. Unfortunately, you're going to have to read those. It's only 2 issues. Like, you can handle it.
Yeah,
but.
Okay, so help me out there. So, by the way, I think the volume I have is just Dark Empire 1. That's why I'm in the market for the whole trilogy. So you have Dark Empire 1 and 2 that are a series of comics, and then what's the third part to the trilogy you just said?
Yeah, Dark Empire 3 was canned prematurely.
Okay.
It was in development and never did quite see the light of day, so it was condensed and did not have Cam Kennedy, the infamous watercolor artist who made that quite iconic art. He was not on the series. A different artist, fine, but there's quite a jarring difference there. Empire's End is the name of it, which is crazy because there's also a canon book in classic Star Wars style called Empire's End, right? Book 3 of the Aftermath trilogy.
Is this why there are like volumes everywhere? Is that the deal?
It could be part
to
of it.
distinguish. Like there are only so many names.
I know.
So
we
Dark
got
Empire,
cycled through.
It's 6 issues. Dark Empire 2 is 6 issues, and it is spectacular, but it takes all the craziness of Dark Empire 1, to 11. For
Whoa.
sure. I kid you not. This sounds like I'm making this up. The Millennium Falcon ends up running away from Boba Fett into some kind of like a cloud in space of toxic gases or something like that. But inside, there's a colony of steampunk people.
The Neo?
No, but it does sound like that.
Like
They're good guys. They're led by a benevolent king named Impadajoyos Brand, who is a Jedi whose head is all that's remaining of him, that's attached to a ball with a lightsaber that's built into his ball. Like he doesn't have a body anymore, just a ball with a lightsaber. It's not euphemistic. No, really. All right, I gotta find the picture. She doesn't believe me.
Why would I believe that?
Joyous Brand. Without a doubt, my
there
favorite...
ought to be an episode of this where we do like fact or fiction. Like, what are you telling that's actually true, and what is just completely made up? Because I honestly don't know if I'd be able to tell.
So his lightsaber is built into his ball, and he is like he hangs out with Han and Leia, and then he ends up joining like their fight against Naked Palpatine. So they go to help Luke, evil Luke, but not so much evil because he's turned back to the light side because he and Leia defeated Naked Palpatine in the duel.
Whoa!
It is getting spoilery. I'll stop.
Yes.
I'll stop. Impadajoyos Brand is a steampunk Jedi in a ball from Dark Empire.
I want to make so many jokes.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm not making this up.
Yeah.
Tom Veach made this up. And
I gotta
find
it was made up by someone, but not by me.
Now, we're talking about Star Wars movies without movies. Obviously, there is a book. There is an audio drama. There are also action figures. Now, I don't have any yet. Freddie bought me one, and then he loved it so much that he kept it. So there's that. I would love to get them. Yeah, sorry about the spoiler. Hey, I didn't mean to. I don't think I spoiled anything all that critical. Like, no, just mildly. I promise. However, there's action figures, there's comics, there's an audio drama. Now, if we're going to rank, like, which of these really took it up to 11 with the whole Star Wars movies without a movie, it doesn't quite come as close as Shadows of the Empire. But it is, however, at least halfway there. What else is something that we should be aware of? Let's see. Rick, you read that first one. Emily, next on the list is what?
The Clone Wars Multimedia Project of 2003.
Yeah, this is amazing because actually our friends over there, we've already previously mentioned on the show, Star Wars Archives. They did a whole episode about this. We're not going to go into too much detail and refer you over there. It might even be out for the public at this point. This included Shatterpoint, for example. These were walking through the Clone Wars in the years between episodes 2 and 3. You could literally live those 2 or 3 years of the Clone Wars day by day as these stories were being published with the comics and the books. So it consisted of these novels: Shatterpoint, Legacy of the Jedi, The Cestus Deception, MedStar, Battle Surgeons, MedStar, Jedi Healer, Jedi Trial, Yoda Dark Rendezvous, and the Republic Commando series. Then there's also comics. So we've got pretty much all the comics that I talked about on the recent episode of The Cosmic Force, all the ones with Ayla Secura and Quinlan Voss, the Republic comics. You've got Obsession, which is Obi-Wan and Anakin hunting for Asajj Ventress stories. There's video games.
Yeah.
You've got the original Battlefront video games. Have you played those, Rick?
I played a little bit of Battlefront 2. Like the original, but I'm also thinking, like, isn't the classic Xbox the Clone Wars? Isn't that the same era we're talking about, right?
No, I think so. I've never played it, so I don't even know what it is.
Yeah,
really.
well, I had to look it up because my brain was clicking, and it looks like it's April 22nd, 2003. So I'm guessing it's fits in perfectly with that era. But I played that game on Christmas Day. I got my Xbox, and that was like the demo game that I had. And it was a lot of fun. So this is connecting me with memories that I totally forgot about. So I'm about to go back and reminisce on good old 2003.
Yeah, when COVID was first getting started, my husband upgraded his Xbox, and we downloaded Battlefront 2 because that was like my thing. I was like, okay, you can get that, but we have to get a Star Wars game. And then I committed to trying at least 10 days in a row where I played every single day because I've never been very good at video games. And I was like, there's something to it. I might as well give it a shot. I couldn't ever get past the Death Star wreckage. And that's like the second level, maybe.
Nice.
It is very early on. One day. But that, the only Star Wars video game that I've ever played was during the Clone Wars multimedia project. Who
There
knew?
you go.
The only one you've ever played.
The only one.
Awesome. We're going to have to do like a whole Legends Look Back series. Maybe like a once-a-month thing where we make Emily play a classic Legends video game. Just like put her on the worst level of everyone.
You gotta wait till after I have this kid, though, because like I'm gonna need a drink with that.
I keep forgetting that you're pregnant. And you mention that, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna need to. Yeah, that's not something I want to do sober.
Well, I did not find Empatajoyos brand, at least not like a huge picture of him that I can show off. I did, however, find a full-page image of a Rancor drawn by Cam Kennedy.
Ooh.
All right, here we go. Empatajoyos brand, just to prove to you that I'm not making this up. See if I can get it up close enough to the camera. You see him there, looking in his bally self.
It's like if Buzz Lightyear met BB-8 in Jedi form. That's like what that looks like.
What a quote.
That's nice. Yeah.
All right, now we're going to have to make an entire Utini reading collection, and that's going to be the quote at the top. It's like, if Buzz Lightyear met BB-8. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, the Clone Wars multimedia project, obviously, conceive of it as this. Anything before Filoni got his hands on the Clone Wars. So Clone Wars without Ahsoka is what it is. I consider it like the dark and gritty Clone Wars. It's a little... There's some dark and gritty stuff in that series, but... this goes to some really shadowy places that series doesn't quite get. All the Quinlan Voth stuff. There are some slight contradictions to where that next Clone Wars series will eventually go, but it totally qualifies as a Star Wars movie without a movie. How else can you experience a Star Wars story for multiple years, entry by entry by entry, other than now, like with the High Republic? It's a great way
it
to
reminded
do
me of the High Republic when you were describing it.
Very fun way to be involved. You just look for the next entry, whether it's a comic, whether it's a book, whether it's a video game. You grab it, and it's like you're in the trenches of the Clone Wars. Next up is one that I have just been dying to talk about, and it's one that we have not covered in nearly enough detail yet here on the show. In 2008, The Force Unleashed opened up the floodgates of Star Wars storytelling in between the trilogies, in between episodes 3 and 4, set in the Dark Times era, featuring the Sith apprentice Starkiller, who, yes, infamously, as we talked about on the Macho Men of Legends, crashed a Star Destroyer using the Force. Or so the legend goes. Right. There are actually 2 video games, Force Unleashed and The Force Unleashed 2, a part of this. There is a Force Unleashed 3 that was in development, that was planned. There's some story elements out there that the creative director Hayden Blackman, who a Legends storyteller, has written quite a few comics himself. He has revealed some of those story details, what that game might have been like. He, in fact, did a video playthrough with David Collins, who played Proxy the droid, and Sam Witwer, who played, Starkiller, also like Maul in the Clone Wars. So the 3 of them did a 3-part playthrough. It was worth finding on YouTube of the video games, talking all about the behind the scenes on all of this. However, in a multimedia experience, it also contained books. In fact, the hardback publication of The Force Unleashed 1, the original, is one of fewer than 10 Star Wars books to ever peak at number 1 on the New York Times best sellers list. Would you have thought that a video game adaptation would be a number 1 New York Times bestseller?
That's crazy.
There's a lot of things I don't believe on this show. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It is cool. And it does get a lot of hate. There's a lot of like, oh, well, this book is, eye-rolly. I was expecting nothing when I read it like 5, 6, 7 years ago and was floored by how much I enjoyed this reading experience. So totally worth your time, worth checking out. Force Unleashed came out in 2008. I believe Force Unleashed 2 was 2011, shortly afterward, not terribly far after. It does also contain a comic adaptation as well as some reference books about the art of, the making of, so there's quite a bit to find. There might even be a Starkiller action figure. I'm not 100% sure, but it sounds feasible, doesn't it?
Yeah, it could work.
Possibly. All right. Rick, what's up next?
Next, we have Star Wars The Old Republic from 2011. And I don't know much about this one. I recognize some of the books in that era, but I didn't know. Is there a game and other, I guess probably comics I'm oblivious to. But what else happened in that initiative?
Yeah, this is the game that I'm playing right now. This was basically the follow-up for Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2.
Oh, okay.
But it's not KOTOR 3.
Right.
Divisively.
I see.
It's an MMO. So you can basically, hop on and play with other players, and you can form guilds. And I've not done all of that, all of those. I'm just wanting to get the story. I just want to know the story. I've heard that Revan plays a part somehow.
I mean, he's got to. It's the Old Republic.
Revan is in it somehow. I have now, at this point in the game, encountered a character from the book, Revan. So very excited about that. However, he disapproves. You know how, you're earning points with your companions, based on your decisions, that either you're gaining influence or losing influence, right? Mm-hmm. The deal is, with this particular companion, I don't want to spoil it too much. He's from the book, Revan. Every single decision I make, there's a little bit of dialogue that says, this character disapproves. Every single thing I say, he disapproves. Our buddy OK Indar in the chat says, the Jedi Knight class story is considered KOTOR 3. Okay. I've seen, somebody complaining on the internet. Can you believe that? I saw somebody complaining on the internet that they want a KOTOR 3. I would like that too, but it has totally been a fun experience. The levels are beautiful. There was so much that came out surrounding this game back in 2011. I only just now got to it in 2020. I started it last year, so 10 years late to the party, as with everything. What am I going to do? But there's all kinds of art books, making of books. In fact, some of the ancillary materials related to this have become quite collectible and expensive and hard to track down. As far as soundtrack, I don't know. Or action figures, so let us know in the chat if you've got more on this. I have at least seen that there is a Star Killer action figure out there. Is it official? I have yet to determine, but they do exist in some form or another. Now, at this particular point, we have covered the major events, the major things that are considered Star Wars movies without movies. We've got Dark Forces, Dark Empire, Rogue Squadron, Shadows of the Empire, Force Unleashed, Clone Wars Multimedia Project, and the Old Republic. We do have, however, 3 more honorable mentions that are cross-publishing initiatives, though they didn't especially have any ancillary materials regarding, reference books or soundtracks, video games, or action figures. Rick, tell us about the first one of these cross-publishing initiatives.
First one would be Dawn of the Jedi Comics and Books from 2012. I don't know anything about... Okay, I know Dawn of the Jedi, the book, but I haven't read the comics yet, so I guess I knew something. But it's one of those that I want to read, I'm excited about, but man, my list is so long. There's so many good things to get into. And so... looks cool.
These are okay to keep on the back burner for now. They're not necessarily essential Legends stories, but we did have a short story to kind of get some exposure to this in our Star Wars Insider Fiction Collection Volume 1 roundtable we did recently with Lannery Brock, the female Jedi, right? From, 10,000 years before the films?
Goodness.
Where her lightsaber is attached to a backpack for a power source, her proto-saber. This was a crossover between the Dark Horse Comics and Del Rey Books Publishing. There's one full-length adult novel, Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void, 3 or 4 different comic series, and it was canceled prematurely. So the Legends Guillotine hit in 2014, canceled this prematurely, never got to see it to fruition, but
I see.
Kind of a fun experiment in what could have been. Emily, what's on the other end of the timeline from Dawn of the Jedi?
So we have back in 1999, we have Invasion and New Jedi Order.
Yeah, New Jedi Order, infamously, is the 19-book series that totally changed the expanded universe. There is, however, a comic crossover from 10 years later. I was doing some research. I think it is 2009 that Dark Horse did this. But as far as I know, they were brainstorming doing this as a comic story before they ended up doing a book publishing program. Jury's still out totally on if my information is right there. But I have yet to read the comics. I've been holding out on them. I'm very anxious to read them because I've read all 19 of those books. And fun little piece of Legends development here for the show. This is news to even you guys. Our buddy on the team, Andrew Bell, is almost at the end of his 3-year reading journey with the New Jedi Order.
Uh-huh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
He is on the second to last book, book 18 of 19, the final prophecy, and we agreed that when he finishes the Unifying Force in the spring, he's going to come on Legends Look Back, and we are going to talk about the New Jedi Order. We're going to keep it light on spoilers. We are going to talk about the history of the event, which of the books he considers the best, which ones we've heard the most about, which ones, which characters the most noteworthy. We'll rank some of the books. Those of us that have read them, I'm very excited about that. How about you guys?
Yeah, that sounds great. Can't wait to have him on.
I've heard.
And then finally, for tonight, we've got Fate of the Jedi, which crossed over with the short stories Lost Tribe of the Sith in 2009. Fate of the Jedi was a 9-book series published right there at the end of the Legends timeline happening. You've got New Jedi Order, and then Legacy of the Force, and then Fate of the Jedi. I'd like to pitch it as this. It's like Star Wars meets the Odyssey, where Luke and his son go off on like a spiritual quest across the galaxy, learning about secrets of the Force. There's a Sith cult. It's amazing. It's crazy.
Ooh.
It's absolutely bonkers. There's 9 or 10 short stories that tie in that were written by our buddy, friend of the show, John Jackson Miller.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a fun thing. There's even a map. Something like, it's getting all Lord of the Rings up in here, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Nice.
Very much so. Andrew will love that.
I honestly forgot about that map, to be honest. And I've discovered that it is here. So, at this point, let me ask you guys, what is some Legends story or Legends title, some big Legends thing that you're surprised hasn't made the list as a Star Wars movie without a movie? What is something that deserved the full fanfare treatment and for whatever reason really just didn't get like the full action figure line or the comic adaptation, and there might have been something that we missed along the way, which will come up at this point. But what's something for you that you're surprised didn't make the cut?
Oh man, well, Courtship of Princess Leia for sure. I'm just kidding. I don't know. Let's see. I'll say like what I want an action figure for is if there's a Corran horn, I'd take one of those. That'd be cool. But Kyle Katarn
decked out in green.
Yeah, Kyle Katarn really though, like having me a Star Wars Chuck Norris around the house would be very handy. You gotta say. So yeah,
Kyle Katarn. I think there's an action figure for him.
Is there?
I
I'll have
could
to
be
find
wrong.
him.
He's got a good beard, like the lone shoulder pad, just the one.
Just the
compared
one.
To Dash
Right.
Rendar.
Yep.
That's how you know the difference. Dash has 2. Emily.
I feel like this is my answer every time, but I feel like Thrawn really needed more. Yeah.
No, I think you're right.
He's just like, he's so prominent in Legends, and then he's gotten almost no real limelight, I guess. I don't know.
Fair.
In recent years, there's been some more merchandise for Thrawn.
That's true.
Yeah.
Thrawn mini bust over my shoulder over here.
And they're finally, he has some trilogy, which is great. But
Right.
I just, after like, he's in almost every book, and then just like he's only in Rebels. That's the only thing that we can see him in, and he's kind of obnoxious in it. So like, I wish that he had gotten a little bit more. More...
Shots fired at Cannon.
Yeah, I know. That's all I know. Give me a break. I have to talk about something.
Scuba Joe says there is a Corran horn figure, but it's non-canonical for Legends. He's in an orange flight suit instead of green.
Nope.
He flies in a green one, doesn't he?
Oh.
I don't remember that detail. I'm not sure.
He's like very forward with the fact that his favorite color is green.
Yeah.
So he has a green X-wing and a green astromech.
Yep.
And a green flight suit. And his lightsaber can.
Does it match the color of his eyes? Is that why?
Yeah.
Probably.
Not a green lightsaber. Not green. But is very forward with the fact that his favorite color is green. All right, so that's a good pick. One for me is that Knights of the Old Republic doesn't have a ton.
Yeah.
As we mentioned earlier in the show, when the game came out, I think with BioWare and Lucasfilm, LucasArts, a little bit surprised to discover just how huge of a hit that it was. It was the 2003 Game of the Year, according to multiple video game outlets. There is a little bit more coming out now, such as my glorious Zalbar. I've got the Revan and Bastila and Malik Funko Pops now, but hey, with the new game on the horizon, who knows? Sky's the limit. There is, other than Revan, the tie-in novel that kind of bridges the gap between the video game and the Old Republic video game, really not a lot of tie-in material. There is no... The Knights of the Old Republic comic is kind of its own thing. Doesn't tie in much, just a few key details, but is not like an adaptation or a spin-off of the video game. So that's my pick. One other honorable mention that didn't make the cut, but does at least deserve a shout out here is the 2009 the 2009 book Death Troopers, right? The Stormtrooper horror novel. We got to shout this out here in the month of October. Either of you read Death Troopers yet?
No, but I did listen to that episode of the show back, early on that you guys talked about them, and it really got me excited about
Episode 0.
Was it 0?
Yeah, it was our test run.
Nice.
Sure.
Yeah, I was looking for some Halloween themed books. There's actually a horror or Halloween collection on our website that has Death Troopers. I think that was my first encounter with that novel, and I just thought the cover art is quite distinctive. You know exactly what it's going to be about.
Oh, yeah. There's also some Galaxy of Fear stuff, for Halloween. And canon, there's, the Dark Legends or whatever they're called, the Myth and Fable counterpart. But anyway, good stuff. Jared, talking about a video game for Death Troopers.
Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be really cool. And imagine just all these... zombie stormtroopers coming at you, though. Man, that'd be good. Now, the new Battlefront 2, they had that Ewok hunt mode. Did you ever play that?
No, I haven't.
What?
I played the video game. I played the story mode, but never much of the PvP.
I'm not very good at any of it. It's hard, but it's kind of like a battle royale kind of deal, but opposite, where you start as a stormtrooper, and there's a couple of Ewoks, and it's a dark map. And the Ewoks will hunt you, and once you get killed as a stormtrooper, you become an Ewok, and so it's the last man standing as a stormtrooper. As a stormtrooper to get out and get evacuated from.
What?
Yeah, it's really really fun.
That is
but it kind of
such
has
a trippy concept.
It kind of has Call of Duty Zombies vibes, but it's not scary. It's just it's spooky.
It's Ewoks.
You hear Ewoks behind you, and then you get hit in the back of the head and stuff. So yeah.
Wow.
Now. How do you become canonically? How do you become an Ewok if you die as a stormtrooper?
Yeah,
there's a lot of questions I have.
It's just game mechanics. Okay. What happens on the forest moon of Endor? Endor stays on the forest moon of Endor.
This is where it breaks for me as a Star Wars fan. I need a cohesive story. That's what's so good about Knights of the Old Republic.
All right, naked Palpatine, you can have all your slimy palps, but this is what does it for you, huh? This is where you draw the line.
Too confusing.
Dark Empire was a perfectly cohesive story, and you'll never prove me wrong. All right. But I would like to see a Death Troopers video game, kind of in the style of Resident Evil, of the mid to late 2000s. That would certainly work. Those are great games. I'm too much of a scaredy cat to play them, but that would work. Would love to see, with some modern graphics, a great story-driven game set in the Legends universe. Obviously, would love to see some tie-ins to that. What would make a great video game would be the Jedi Apprentice books we mentioned earlier. All 20 of the Jude Watson books. The fact that nearly every book is set on its own cohesive, its own planet with a little story that she develops for... this 100-page book with perfect Star Wars world building with its own unique culture and problems and flora and fauna and creatures. That would work really well, very mission driven Obi-Wan and Anakin game.
Yeah.
Oh man,
that'd be cool.
That would be really cool. I would play that.
Picturing them as a video game.
As long as there's a
Anything
story,
else
good story
that you would like to say deserves a full fanfare treatment. What action figure would you like to have had from Legends that you don't have your hands on yet?
Yep. I got nothing to add, man. I think we covered a lot. I learned a lot on this one for sure. I've been saying that a lot lately, but this was definitely it's cool to see, again, just how much has gone into Legends and how some of the same scripts are still being used in the canon world as far as publishing initiatives and doing everything they can to get different fans, different ways to be connected to their stories. So Star Wars is still alive and well.
Well said, Rick. Well said.
Thank you.
I don't know that I've got a great pick either, other than the fact that there's like a Sith collector's pack.
Ooh.
That has like some of the villains from KOTOR 2, possibly even Darth. Who's the one from Legacy? Darth Krayt. It had like 5 or 6. They used to have it at like the Hastings in Cersei where we used to live.
Huh.
And I remember looking at it, picking it up like 10, 15, 30 times, never buying it. I was like, I'm in college. I don't need to buy action figures. Now that thing's worth like $300.
Oh,
and
man.
I wish I'd spent the 30 back in 2010. Regardless, those are kind of hard to track down, but totally would be great action figures to re-release in some form or another. You know what else is another way you can enjoy some classic Legends Sith Lords? Next week in our roundtable discussion of Darth Bane, Path of Destruction. We're going to be reading Path of Destruction in November. We're going to have Rule of 2 starting in the spring, and then in December, we're going to cover this new Blood Ties omnibus. I actually need to check the release date on that, make sure it's not delayed. But with everything notwithstanding, no big plans changing. That will be coming up soon. That does it for this week. Thanks for joining us here on Legends Look Back. Thanks to our incredible patrons for your amazing support. Oh, we got Emily here on the screen with me. What's up, Emily?
Hey. I know, we're missing Freddie.
Just having Freddie there. Yeah, Freddie's been missed. But doing a special thank you to our patrons, Cheryl Bell, Patrick Ortiz, Carl Sander, Endar on our Jedi High Council. I'll give a thank you to Elizabeth Cloutier, Jason Mitchell, Sally and Chris Eilerson, Freddie C. Hopefully he comes back from the stormtrooper, the clone trooper assassination. Thanks for that, Palpatine, here on episode 66. Jason Mitchell, Sally and Chris Eilerson, Earl Q, and Tyler Latour on our Jedi High Command. Thank you for your amazing support. Remember, everybody, sub to the channel. Leave us a review in your podcast platform of choice. That will help more people to find our show and join the most positive Legends community on the internet. If you want your thoughts read on the show, you can email us at legendslookback@utini.com. You can send us a message in the Legends Look Back Discord channel. Leave a comment on this episode on YouTube, or find us on Twitter at Legends Look Back. I'm at Jared Q. Mays. Freddie's at Wake Up Freddy.
Rick_Grace.
And Emily.
Darth Daybeck.
If you're looking to buy some of these books and want to help support the show, you can look up a book on Utini, click the Amazon link in the profile, and hey, after you've read it, you can even leave us a review and let us know what you think. In the meantime, remember to keep the Utini fan code and be a force for positivity in the fandom. Until next week, may the force be with you.
This is a Utini broadcast.